I just wanted to introduce our first guest. This is our first ever guest for Chuck and I. It's Tony Zaragosa. He's a player. He's a shot caller in the horror movie industry and all the entertainment side of that. He's been doing a podcast for a couple years now. The links will be all over the place here for you to get in touch with him. Um, but specifically on the local scene and then the bi-coastal scene, they're talking about haunts, they're talking about movies, they're talking about everything horror. But Tony has got a two-parter with us. The first part is strictly how he got the podcast going, how do we start that, and the part two will be music and fun and other hijinks. So without further ado, let's hear from our boy Tony Z. So just real quick, are you doing any when you're doing your recording, are you using an auxiliary audio source? I know we talked about Audacity, or are you just doing everything on Zoom and just recording the Zoom and doing everything on Zoom and being done?
So if you can enable me to do share screen, I can show you exactly how my setup is.
Okay. How do I do that? Let's see.
You should click over to my name, and it might say enable share. It says host disabled participant screen sharing. So
why would I do? Oh, it's because you know why? This is my class one. How do I?
Right.
Participants, Anthony, more, allow record, rename, make host. Probably make host.
You can make host if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
I pay for the $15 a month, so I don't
have to. We should have had you do it.
Yeah.
All right. Does that help you?
Yeah. So this is what you're looking at right here. So this right here is not that. It's the wrong. What do you guys see?
You see I see OBS. I see Zoom. I see my small head.
So this is the OBS right here. This is the software. And this is what I use practically to record all my podcasts. Now, I'm on Zoom. I have everything going and all that. So what I do is basically I'm on a 2-monitor setup. So I do one for the Zoom, and then the main screen will be the actual Zoom call. What I typically do is I open the Zoom call, and then I will open OBS. Usually this screen right here will be my Zoom call. So I always put it to full screen. That way it takes up the entire screen. That way you don't see the bottom right here.
Yeah.
You know, all this stuff right here, the applications, all that takes up the entire screen. What I do on my end, so I can capture good audio, and my crew is not really accessible. I have other than one guy. My crew is not really accessible to the best audio. They're recording either off their phones, laptops, you know, so I'm doing my thing. But what I do to record my audio, now I'm running the Rodecaster Pro board, which I will show you guys after we get off the screen share. But I'm running this board, so I'm connected via XLR mic and then the board's connected to my computer.
Okay, hold on 1 second. So Chuck, that's the kind of the cool thing about the mic that we're using is if you look at the picture look at your face, there's literally the port on the back of it is the one he's talking about. So the problem is that's got to get fed into something before it can get onto the computer. So he's using that Rodecaster Pro thing that we were talking about. So
right. So I'm running that. So basically you can record your audio one of two ways. You can do it. You guys can both do a screen recording of Zoom, or one person does it. And then, so right here where it says mic aux, you can actually, when you click on the settings button, you go down to properties. It actually lets you choose the device that you want. So I'm connected right now to the Rodecaster Pro, but you have an option of like whatever's plugged into your computer will come up.
Okay.
So you basically got to know the name of your mic, whatever your mic name is. It should come up here in the option set. So when you have your property set, then just click OK. So your audio should be coming out good right here in the mic section. That's one way you can record your guys' audio.
So right now when I talk, that's the desktop audio that's going crazy.
So the desktop audio is like say you're recording, your mic audio would be this one right here. Chuck's audio would actually be the desktop audio.
Okay.
So another way, if you guys want the cleanest audio possible, is running Audacity. Now, this is a free app that you guys can download. This one's probably used a lot in a lot of video makings and stuff.
We've been using that. It's just I cannot get it synced up to the video.
Right. So the best way to sync, from what I've learned, is basically hit the record button, Um, so being that you guys are on Zoom, it's going to be a little bit more complicated. But I think the best way to do it is maybe do a somewhat of a clap sync.
Yeah.
So when basically maybe put your mic next to the computer so he catches the clap as well. I know there's somewhat of a delay, but it's the best way to maybe possibly do it. You could probably play with that. But basically when you hit record, do like a clap sync. So when your mic picks it up on the recording, that's when you know, okay, so that's where it's synced.
Okay.
So then when we start talking, it should sync up with the video. So when you're recording the video and Audacity, so what are you trying to do? Are you trying to do video as well, or are you just doing straight audio?
Well, we figured, I mean, I think if we were in the same room, probably it would have just been a regular audio podcast. But because we got into the COVID mess, it seems like we're doing the video anyways, you know, and we're just
Right.
throw that up on YouTube and then, you know, host the podcast somewhere and get on with it. But, you know,
So this is an editing software I use. This one costs a couple bucks. It's not too bad, but I think when you pay one price and you get a lifetime thing. This is something I use. This is called Filmora Wondershare. Now, the reason why I like this application.
Say that again, Tony.
Filmora Wondershare.
Okay, thanks.
the one I've been looking at is DaVinci. Have you heard of that one?
DaVinci is good. Now on my PC, I run into the problem with, because it's a free app. I don't know how it is. You have Apple, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I run into the problem with DaVinci where for a certain amount of time when I was editing a video, the software would just shut down on me. And that was pissing me off because with that software, you have to constantly save as you go.
Okay, what is this one called?
This one is called Filmora Wondershare.
Okay, I've actually heard of that. Filmora.
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff.
Is it a cloud-based thing though? I mean, so I can work on it and Chuck can work on it, or is it one project per computer type thing?
Pretty much one project per computer. I haven't come across. I don't know who does. I think
WeVideo does it or something like that. But
WeVideo. I don't know. Maybe iMovie does it. I don't know. I think a lot of Apple-based products might do it.
Okay.
But the thing I like about this one is, so when I go down to export, so I have all these different options right here. So this is movie. So this is what I usually come up. This is where you'll have like the best quality video, really. Okay. And then you can change the settings, how you want resolution. I usually go 1920 by 1080. So,
right.
And then my frame rate, I usually put it at 60 frames because I like to have the best quality stuff.
You could do some slow motion.
Yeah, you really can. Yeah. So that's the video. That usually is about, depending on how long the video is. This is a podcast that we did last night. It was about this is the most recent one that just went up. This came out to about like 46, almost 47 minutes. So that's going to cost me 3 gigabytes of space. However, how I do audio, the thing I like about this as well is I can go down to MP3, export the same exact project, but in an audio form. So that's how I get my audio forms right there.
So you slap the video on there from Zoom or whatever you were doing with your camera, right, and then you slap the audio on there from OBS or Audacity, and then you sync them up, and then.
So in your guys' case, because you guys are trying to record and get the best quality, both audio and video, what you would do is, so I'll just pull an example here. This is just a song right here. So see the audio bars right here, your video is right here. And basically what you would do is keep the audio on both ends recording on OBS on. So then what you can do is when it comes down to syncing it, you can sync it with the audio and listen, be like, okay, this is when I say this, so this needs to go here. And also when you do that's when the clap sync thing comes in, because when you do the clap sync, you can hear it on both the OBS file and you can hear it on both the audio file. So that's how you sync it up right there.
Okay.
It's never going to be, from what I've learned, it is complicated. It's never going to be like, there may be like a 0.5 second delay, but you won't even really notice it like too much. Like,
it's not like a kung fu movie or anything.
No, yeah, it's not like anything like that. Like it feels like
talk really slow.
Yeah, exactly. No. But I'm hoping later on down the road I get to maybe podcast with someone in studio. So
right.
I'll be able to do that. And when that happens, I can show you what that looks like.
So now the Rodecaster will do the whole file, the audio file for you as well, right?
So the Rodecaster too, yeah, the Rodecaster is an interesting one too because basically you have the option to record from the board. You can hit
Right.
record on the board, but if you have it plugged into your computer for like OBS or something, all you need to do is have it on, and you don't need to record anything on the board. It just needs to be on.
And it just
So
shapes your voice.
Yeah, so that's what's honestly just picking up your mic and everything. So I don't know how I'm sounding right now to you guys, but
Sound good.
yeah, the
Yeah,
quality
Really good.
compared to when I used.
Yeah, but what mic are you on now?
So let me go back to the regular screen. So this is a toner mic that I bought on Amazon. I bought like 4 of these. I think they're about like $50 a piece.
Yeah, there's
This
some
is what
cheap
I was using prior. This is the Blue Snowball.
Oh,
this
Yeti,
is-
no?
The Yeti. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is the Yeti. This is also a really good podcasting mic for like starters and stuff. It seems like you guys got some pretty good quality stuff though. What are you guys running right now?
No, we just have that Audio Technica 21 whatever that everybody talks about. It's just a
Okay.
regular deal. So
Yeah.
I found somebody on Craigslist that was selling 3 mics, 3 booms, 3 cords, 3 everything. And I went,
Right.
okay.
Eventually, I want to upgrade to Rogan style stuff. I like his mics because
Those are like 400 each or 600 each, huh?
yeah, they're like really expensive mics, but they're like some of the best quality stuff you can get in the market.
Well, you know one of the things that's happening for you is, if you don't mind me saying, when you have your Yeti, it's picking up everything. It's picking up your finger tab. And this one earlier when you were looking at your second screen, you were over here like this and it wasn't as good a thing, and you went like this and you can hear it real well.
Right.
So you're gonna have to maybe train yourself on that bad boy, because that's not a condenser, is it?
This is a.
Or is it dynamic?
Hold on, let me check the settings.
Mine's dynamic, so you can only hear me right here. You know what I mean?
Dynamic then, honestly. Let me check the settings real quick for it.
No, you don't have to. It's
this
just
actually this is condenser.
Oh, okay. So it should be the same as the Yeti, but better quality, huh?
Better quality. Well, I have the option to actually change that because you can go into the options menu of what mic you have on. It's really cool. So
right on.
I believe this is condenser though. So
you're doing everything you're recording the video and you're recording the audio on your computer.
Currently, right now, yes. If it was under any other circumstances where I can actually have a guest in studio, what I would be doing is taking the Rodecaster pretty much over to the seating area right there.
Right.
And hooking everyone up with the mic, hooking everyone up with headphones so everybody can hear everybody.
Yeah, Rogan style, yeah.
Rogan style, pretty much, yeah. So that's what I would be doing if I was in studio. And then at that point, the board can do everything. And then I would, hook up my camera so it can do video as well and sync all that up. But lately, since the pandemic, everything's been Zoom. So
are you happy with the Zoom quality or no?
You know what? I am, because I started in the beginning of the pandemic. I was on Skype, and we were running into a ton of issues on Skype. And I even just recently tried it out again to see if it's changed since, and I was still running into a ton of issues. I don't run with it. I don't run into any issues with Zoom at all.
But I mean, the audio quality.
My guys come out good. They honestly all sound better than what they do on Zoom. So they sound way better than Zoom. They sound like pretty much how we're having the conversation now. That's what it sounds like.
Perfect. Yeah.
So
very cool.
But that's basically what I do for setups. That's my editing software that I use. OBS, OBS is a great tool. And then in your guys's, kind of thing right now, Audacity and clap syncing with OBS. Like, so you'll record an OBS file, you'll record a Audacity file. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, it looks like only one of you will have to record the OBS now, because it's coming on both screens. The only time you would have to record something separate is if you guys were doing something like each of you had a camera.
Okay.
And you were recording your own POVs rather than doing it off Zoom. Now,
okay.
That's something I just did on Sunday with another YouTube channel, where we were all on a Zoom call, but we each had a camera. Like, there was like 3 of us, so we each had a camera, and we were just doing
badass.
that. Yeah, we were just doing that so we can have the best quality possible.
And you could have a B-roll, and you could hit the face a little different. It's not so boring. Yeah.
So like basically when I do that setup, like I use this little guy right here. It's pretty much, I set him up right here like on my desk, so the camera's facing me. However, I have the other camera right there. So basically, we tell each other like, okay, we're on a Zoom call, we understand that, but face the camera like if that was what you were looking at for the Zoom call.
Oh.
And so that's why you're looking at the camera the entire time, but it's like you're looking at the other person, talking with them. So while everyone's on a Zoom call talking, I'm over here facing the camera. Everyone's talking. Everybody's doing their turn. Everyone can hear each other. When that video goes live, I'll show you exactly what that's like.
So the Zoom is actually your B camera.
Zoom is basically B. It depends who I work with. If I'm working with my guys, then Zoom is just like the priority. That's the main camera.
So Chuck, let's say we move up to a DSLR camera, like a nice camera,
Right.
what you would do is we would turn on the Zoom like this. And right now for me, you are to my left. So I don't know how it is for you, but you are to my left.
That's what we were talking about the other day.
So then I put the camera to the left and it looks like I'm looking at you, like the Brady Bunch, like,
Right.
Yeah.
Like right now I'm looking at you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, Chuck, hey.
Right.
Anthony.
I can send videos. We actually did one. We did an event. I was part of an event, like I think, what was last week? The 12th?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the 12th. They did a whole like event called Horror Nights at Home because Horror Nights got canceled this year, so they wanted to make everybody celebrate. So it was a day-long event where this guy posted, all these content creators did all these videos and they posted them all on their channels, and then there was times that you can check out the videos. We did me and two other of my YouTube buddies, we did a HHN bracket. So each of us, we were on the Zoom call and we had our camera set up. So I'm just facing my camera the entire time. Mind you, when it comes out on camera quality, when you see it on the DSLR, it's going to be you looking at your camera, no matter where you face.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily, like you were just saying, like look to the left. Like it doesn't matter where you face. The camera is going to be pointing at you.
Oh, that's true.
So it's just going to be you looking at the camera. The Zoom thing, honestly, you don't even need to record on Zoom at that point if you're going to do DSLR. It's literally Zoom's just here so you guys can hear each other.
Okay.
Right.
So basically you do your camera setup, you do your audio. So that's where you what I do is, so I have the shotgun mic hooked up to the camera.
Right.
I throw this bad boy on and I record off Audacity. So every time it's a lot easier to clap sync on DSLR and everything to sync everything up because you have the audio from the camera and then you have the audio from the Audacity. So when you do the clap sync, all the audio comes together and you have it good. On top of that, with the shotgun mic, it actually will pick up, depending how loud your speakers are for your computer, it can actually pick up the conversation that you're having on Zoom, so you have an idea of what to edit. Be like, okay,
oh, that's nice.
This makes sense. So now I put this here and put that there.
I mean, me and Chuck were just talking that it feels like everyone is just going straight Zoom and nobody's editing nothing and they're just freaking going for it.
Yeah, it depends on now the group of people I'm with, they like the best quality possible when it comes to content. So, I'm always for that. Like we're working with
Hey, no.
What's the matter?
Never mind.
Okay.
Andy said, hey.
Hey, Andy.
So we're working with the best possible content we can probably do. So example, I just did one on Sunday. We're doing a new show on my buddy's channel where we talk about horror movies. So there's 3 of us. Everyone had their cameras going. Everyone had their audio going. But we were all on the Zoom call. So when it's said and done and finished, clap syncing and all that, that's how everything gets put together and everything. So that's that. But you got to remember too, with the DSLR too, like mine only goes for about 20 minutes at a time. The film, that's how long it films for, because these cameras are not really meant to be filming for. Like now they design them more where they have filming qualities to them, which helps, but they're not really meant for like long-term filming. They're more meant for photography and stuff. So this one particularly goes about 20 to 23 minutes per session. So like about every 20 minutes, I stop it. And that's where you guys can kind of, maybe if you need a stretch, go use the restroom or whatever, kind of have that
break
in between where you're not, if you're going to do a long podcast, you're not doing it for like 2 hours straight. You have like, okay, So we're doing, the first 20 minutes, we're gonna knock this out, try to get it done in 20 minutes. If we don't, we'll just pick up where we left off. Obviously, remember what was the last thing you said in case it does cut off at some point where you can just pick right up. You know what I mean?
Now, what about, have you heard anybody using GoPros? Because GoPros would be significantly cheaper than buying big camera.
Exactly. No, GoPros, they are.
We can get 4K, right?
Yeah, they can get 4K, same quality and everything. I believe Rogan actually used GoPros, right?
I don't know.
Does he? His quality kind of looks like it's GoPro because it's like an in-studio cam. So
yeah.
And he only does that so when he can put like bits and clips of his guest on YouTube. Because I know he doesn't. Does he put the entire video podcast on YouTube or no?
He does. He does the whole 3 hours, and then he'll do the little chop ups, the 10-minute chop ups.
That's because that's kind of how I picked and watched the Downey Jr. one because I wanted to see a couple of stuff about Marvel and Tropic Thunder. So Chuck,
theoretically, we can get 2, maybe 3 brand new GoPros for the price of one DSLR. I mean, some of those they're $1,200, $1,300.
This one right
here, you can
here,
get $900 from time to time, but I mean, they're expensive.
This one I got on Amazon. This is one of the best. And there's other better ones, but this is like one of the best kind of cheaper ones that you can get. Yeah. This one shoots in 4K and everything, but this one's the Lumix. This cost me around $800.
Yeah.
So what kind is it?
It's the Panasonic Lumix. I think it's the G7.
And then Sony's a hot player. They got a hot camera.
Sony is probably the best one you can go with. Sony, and I was looking because I got me a Best Buy credit card.
Oh,
yeah,
that was the American dream.
That was a mistake, but
Yeah, Tony, let's talk about that for a little while.
Yeah, let's take a deep dive in your credit score real quick.
I know, right? No, but when it came time, it came in use yesterday because I got myself a pre-order for a PS5. So
there you go. Nice. Well,
but but I had bought that specifically, Best Buy stuff, that credit card specifically for equipment purposes, or like other stuff like the PS5, but mostly for equipment purposes because Best Buy tends to have a really good selection.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
GoPros of everything, accessories, all that stuff. So
with that being said, are you like now? Are you collecting any revenue from ads or anything?
I was trying to further look at that again today. I haven't looked at it for a while because every time I look at it, I get stressed out. But I have to contact Google directly. Because it's saying that an administrator has to approve my AdSense.
Oh, you told me that, yeah.
I don't know who. It's got to be an account made by me because I don't let anyone else touch that but me. But right. I don't know what it's under. So I'm trying to find ways to contact Google without having to go through their bullshit community because the community doesn't get me nowhere. It just tells me what to do. But what I need to do, I can't even do that. So.
But what about the podcasting host company? Doesn't that company throw some ads?
So.
What's it called? What are you using? It's a free one.
Yeah, it's Anchor.
Anchor.
I'll show you that right now.
Don't they throw ads?
You can record an ad for Anchor. You won't get much, but you'll get something.
3 cents a look.
Yeah.
Right?
So let me show you what my setup looks like for that right now. All right, so this is Anchor right here. This is the whole podcasting. So
this is just the audio podcast, Chuck.
This is the audio. Gotcha. This is where I do my audio. I just started getting into the audio game for other sites and everything for like a couple months ago. I just decided I should branch out, maybe listen to more people. Just want to check it out. They maybe they'll discover us that way. So right now I got about $1.86 in my wallet.
Yeah.
It's not much, but it's a start. So basically what happens is when you get started, this is your distribution right here. When you get started, your first ones I think are like Anchor and Spotify. Now, right off the bat, Spotify is a huge one. A lot of people use Spotify, so that's good. Now, you can look at as you grow and as you start releasing more episodes, you don't have to do a thing about distributing it. More podcast things will start just picking you up, and you'll receive email notifications like, "Hey, now you're on Google Podcasts. Now you're on." I think overall, this took me like about a month to get everyone to pick me up.
So let's how many subscribers and how many views do you have?
So now you go to the dashboard, and they give you all the statistics on that of your latest episodes and everything, which is really cool. So basically, these are my plays throughout the months. It's looking like, depending on that, I mean, I got a couple 8 plays, 3 plays. This is from August 26th to September 1st. 9 plays from the last September 9th to the 15th. So it really gives you charts and graphs, your top episodes, like whatever episodes you release, they'll tell you. So my top episode is a scare actor that I interviewed from Queen Mary. She's like one of the big ones. She's like one of the brand.
I actually watched that one. So there you go. I'm one of your guys.
Yeah.
Well, this is audio, but I saw the video one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then our second biggest one is, of course, the captain at Queen Mary, Zark Harbor. And so, so then it tells you where everyone's watching from. Majority of our audiences is from the United States. We got like 4% watching in Ireland. That's cool.
Yeah.
Canada, 1%. And then it tells you right here on the listening platforms of what your majority of people are listening to on. So you got 42% listening on Apple, 22 listening on Spotify, 6% on Anchor, 4% on Bullhorn, and others 26%. So that's all the other places I distribute. And then it even tells you what gender is watching and the age group that's watching. So
Nice.
whatever age group you're trying to aim for, so it looks like the majority of the people that are watching my podcast are anywhere from 23 to 27 years old.
Yeah.
Majority that watch it are 63% male, 31% female, 5% non-binary, and the other 1% is not specified. So it literally breaks down everything to you. So that's just the charts and the data that you can get from each show. If you just want to see, how many plays or anything you got, you just go scroll over to episodes. And literally it pops up all your episodes, length, the date, plays, and how many ads you have put in. Each one of these, I have one ad. So has
and does it let you say, okay, I want it at the beginning, I want it at the end, I want it
so
every 10 minutes?
Yeah, when you upload the episode, it gives you the option to put it, the one ad they give you, you can just put it in the beginning. But if you accumulate more ads from people like today, now this was just a free ad that I got today, but see, like Anchor sent me, like, since they're doing election stuff, so I'm not going to make any money off this if I choose to do this, but a charity promotion, Ballot Ready, wants me to sponsor them about getting my listeners to go out and vote during the 2020 election.
Does it tell you what to say and you record it?
Yeah, so they'll go. If you want to do it, you can actually go on their website and record. They'll give you a script. So like even when you record yours for Anchor, now the only one I have right now is Anchor, their thing. They actually give you a brief script, but if you want, I obviously cover the main points of the script, but you can actually ad lib a couple things. That's what I've done. Like I've added my personal experiences with Anchor and how it's treated me. So overall, though, it's looking like we have 402 plays with all of our podcasts combined. So
okay.
And then
and you have only one, the mindless one on here, or do you have?
Yeah, well, we actually have two. So this is one. Also, you can actually get people to sponsor your podcast, or not sponsor, but like support your podcast. So they can actually, you can send out links to like your social media and stuff. And if you want people like, hey, we're trying to do this full time or something, we would love if you guys support us. And actually, I did it one time just promoting it. Let me show you my other one.
Like a Patreon, right?
Yeah. I did it one time just promoting it. And actually, Nana donated like $10 to my podcast.
My mom, she's on board.
I probably have a couple. I haven't logged on to that in a while. And I probably have a couple of bucks from her. But I'll log on to that real quick and then I'll show you guys.
Man, you never know. It could be a gold mine in there, dude.
I know, right? For like $20.
She goes to the casino. That's a wrap.
Right? Yeah. But no, I mean, so there's a lot you can do with this, honestly. Like, I really
that's
like.
Fantastic, man. Thanks for
that's free, Chuck. And then you can pay anywhere from $9 to $30 and have a lot more sort of things. There's one that I know of. I watched a million of them, but their main deal is how many ads can we get you? That's like you're going to pay $15, but you're going to get 4 ads instead of 1, or 4 ads instead of 2, and. Right. Then you got to say, well, am I making any money on my ads versus just paying a subscription, or am I just going to go on this and just do my thing and let it snowball?
So check this out. This is my second podcast, and this is what's currently in my wallet, $29.99.
Had a baby.
So now
pays for your Zoom right there.
No, there's my gas money for the next week till I get paid. But so basically, this is my other podcast, Shoot the Shit. We just this is a podcast where we talk literally about everything, anything we want. But let's go down to the whole money portion of it. So these are, of course, there's the charity ballot that's popped up in my feed. And then you have your monthly supporters, obviously. And I think it gives them options.
Dang.
Yeah, it gives you options as to how much you want to put in. So that may be a good thing for you guys if you really want to, make a career out of this, which, podcasting is literally, it's blown up in the last 10 years. It really has. Everyone's doing it now, and it's just an amazing thing to do.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are finding it to be the best place to do an ad. You can do an ad there. You can do an ad on K-Rock. You can do an ad on Channel 7. You're going to get more bang for your buck on the podcast.
Right. No. So it's really cool, especially the bigger you are in the community, the more they'll come to you. Like I'm working with, so next week on the podcast, I'm supposed to have that movie. I don't know if you guys ever seen it, Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I've heard of it.
So the main actor in there, he's going to be on my show next week.
Nice.
So talk about the process of setting that up. I know what I did with you, but you're my cousin. So how do you?
Yeah. So booking is different. Booking, being that you guys are starter podcast, book people that for starters will want to do it and come on and don't mind doing it. And then as you guys, start, it wasn't until about, I would say 20 or 30 episodes that we started getting like actual people we didn't know on the show and start interviewing them. Now, what made us kind of put us on the map for our podcast was when last November, when we did our Scare Actor Appreciation Month after Haunt season, we had like every day of the fucking week of that month, we had so many scare actors from Knott's, from Horror Nights, Hayride, Queen Mary, all come on the show, talk about their experience, their past haunt season. So that's what really put us on the map for our podcast. And I'm trying to the question you want to always ask yourself doing a podcast is, okay, that guest was really good. How can I make the next episode better with another guest? What do you guys?
But like so you call a person and you say, hey man, I want you to come on, and they say, great. And then do you do anything? Do you say like, what kind of mic do you have? Or can you do Audacity? Or can you just show up and I'm happy to just have you show up? Or like, how do you,
that's how
you give them a script, or what do you do?
My thing's not scripted. The only thing that's really sometimes scripted, obviously I have my intro memorized. I have my outro memorized. I've been doing the podcasting we used to script our questions just to know we had a thing of questions, but I've been doing it for so long that a lot of the questions I have are either ones that I already know that we've used in the past or something that I've, I'm curious about. So our most recent one, we just talked with Corona Haunt, which is kind of out in your hood. They are putting on a haunt this year and we're going to be going. So the way I look at
they're saying, fuck it, huh?
They got a whole system intact and everything. Like we talked with them and we talked a little bit about how complicated it is creating a haunt during COVID. So they got a whole reservation system. They got a whole virtual line queue system. Like that's just for a home haunt. Like, and this is a haunt that they're saying on Halloween night, they usually get like hundreds of people that show up to this.
Wow.
So they're trying to figure out, they haven't released any dates yet for the 31st because they want to see how the first weekend and the 29th and the 30th go. So they know to prepare for the 31st. So like, okay, this is what we need to do. But we basically interviewed them and we talked to them about, so tell me how you guys started in the industry. What motivated you to want to do your own home haunt? What have you guys done in the past? What work, you guys proud of? What's the hardest thing creating these haunts? I asked them a lot of behind the scenes questions that you probably don't get to talk with them a lot about. You usually just see their final product and that's it. I'm more diving deep of, okay, let's talk about behind the scenes of how this whole creative process happens. We talked about them going into pre-production, how early they start planning for next year's haunt, what's the most complicated each year, and it's always different for them, and what goes into the writing, what goes into building. So it's a whole structure of, depending who you have on, that's where you can talk to, okay, so maybe you and Chuck can meet up the day before and go, all right, so this is who we're going to have on, this is what this is who this person's known for. So let's come up with the slate of questions. That way we have like an organized kind of thing. And then as you guys start getting more into interviewing people more and everything, eventually you're not even going to need that script no more. You guys are going to be you're going to have it so nailed down that you're just like, all right, we know who we have on. We can ask them this, this, and this. I want to talk a little bit about this. And then You know, so when I do podcasts with my crew, usually it's my buddy Sammy. We usually get on about 30, 45 minutes before and talk about, okay, so this is who we have on. This is what we know. We'll text throughout the week and stuff, but I tell them like, okay, this is what we have. You know, let's ask them about this. Let's talk about, obviously we're here to promote this year's haunt. So let's make sure we touch on that. Let's try to get a little sneak preview out of them. So get people hyped for it and make people get reservations and stuff. So
Do you guys go with the 1-on-1 question format, like real religious, or do you just start and then he jumps in? Or is he a sidekick, or are you guys equal? I haven't watched enough of yours.
We try to do the 1-on-1 a lot.
The
However,
1-on-1, you question,
one
I
question, one question, so we each have opportunities. However, I get so excited when I do interviews, depending on our guest, that I usually am the mic hog.
There's some DNA there, Chuck.
But it's all going to come out in the wash, Tommy. It's all going to come out.
There you go.
So, for example, like next week when we do the guy from Killer Clowns, I really have to hold myself back because that's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And I can probably talk to him for hours about that film. And
so how long do you tell him that you want to do it for? I mean, what's your basic interview? Is it an hour? Is it 2 hours and cut it down? Or
so depending on the guest and depending on how much info they want to give us and depending on how much questions we have, we try to aim anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. Lately, we've been hitting the 45-minute to 50-minute mark, which I think is pretty standard for a lot of – I know a lot of people sometimes lose patience when watching podcasts and will either turn them off and then go back to them later. I'm one of those people who will like listen to it for a certain time and then turn it off and then go back to it later when I'm not doing anything. So we try to make it kind of accessible so people can not feel like they're listening to it forever, but at the same time that, you know, maybe they felt they want more, so they tune in next week to see what we have, or, you know.
So if you, let's say you do get an hour and a half of quality, you know, do you chop it up and make or do you?
I'm all raw. I keep it
all raw.
I'm on unscripted, all raw, so I keep it just going. If you guys feel that, you know, going back, listen to it, like, man, you know, maybe that doesn't sound good, maybe we should throw that out, then by all means, you know, you guys do what you want. But me, I personally, when I come in, I like to just go for it. Like, if I'm asking these questions, like, I want it to be as real as possible. The thing about me and my fan base is I want it to be as real as possible. I don't want no one else seeing me as like the next, you know, fucking big YouTuber. Like, that's not who I am. I want to be as real with the fans as possible. Like,
that's what I told Tommy whenever I watched a few episodes. I was like, that's the one thing that right from the start, I'm like, I don't care what cameras or mics or, you know, you got a commitment to your genre and you're freaking going for it. And
right.
You know, that was entertaining. That's what was pumping up.
Yeah. So if I think that your haunt sucks, I'm sorry, dude. You just need to try that.
I'm gonna have to bring you my brother, man. My brother worked on a Rob Zombie film not too long ago.
No way.
Yeah, and he's a goopo. He just took off. He's an actor, and he just took off for Australia. He's doing Dwayne Johnson's new TV show. It's about him when he was a little kid, growing up with his dad, the wrestler, and
that's
and
awesome.
all that kind of shit. So, anyways, but
that's
yeah,
cool.
he did some Rob Zombie stuff. He has some great pictures.
You know what? And Rob
Tony, he was in Marvel. He was in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, he was Lash.
Nice.
Lash. He's a big blue guy, but I mean, you wouldn't recognize him. He was fully made up.
Yeah. Marvel has.
I've told you about him. He did Year One. He was a big caveman in Year One, and
right.
Yeah. He was on that awesome show that everybody loved with that redheaded dude on where he would solve
Miami or
not CSI, but what's the other one, man? Dexter.
Oh, okay.
So Chuck's brother is the only guy to ever escape from Dexter. He's the only guy in the history of Dexter to have a two season, you know, because
feel honored for that.
He broke out of the plastic. He broke out of the plastic.
Yeah. Right before he was about ready to get killed.
What did he do with Rob? Because Rob, honestly,
you know what? I'm gonna say it was less than 2 years ago.
Free from Hell.
Yeah. Okay. That's what it was.
That was his last movie.
Yeah.
I gotta look out for him. Do you know specifically what he did, what role?
I have no freaking idea. No, I haven't seen it, and
yeah, Rob is an interesting.
Well, what you need to know, Tony.
My brother said he was
6'10".
Okay.
my brother.
So whoever that guy is.
I was looking for the tallest guy on that movie. I mean, I go rewatch it, but no, I mean, Rob, he is when he directs, he is a very, when it comes down to it, his directing and his writing is very like dark and heavy, but I hear he's like the nicest guy possible.
That's what my brother said. Yeah,
he's
cool.
like super respecttive of everyone, and like I think one point they were filming Devil's Rejects, and he was like, I don't like the main actor is like, I don't feel comfortable doing this because he was pretty much almost raping the girl, and he goes, but that's cinema. You shouldn't feel comfortable watching this movie.
Oh.
He goes, I don't condone to it either, but who these characters are and what this movie's about, you're not supposed to feel comfortable in this scene. As an audience, they should feel very uncomfortable watching this, and that's what I'm trying to aim for. And I'm like, you got a point, man. I mean, cinema, yeah, it's different, but
I think the big thing is that, like, I know he's asked me many questions about sort of why did you pick up the mic? Why did you pick it seems like even though you have multiple podcasts, you have this horror theme running through it. You obviously are committed to it.
Right.
You really like it. You super enthused. It's easy to get out of bed and do one of those podcasts, I'm sure. And like, what made you, you don't got $1 million. Like, you had to buy stuff, this piece and that piece. And tell us about your journey from like 0 to 60, how it all started, just so we can feel.
So basically my story is this. I've always been a haunt fan. I've always been Halloween Horror Nights. I've been going since 2011. And I immediately fell in love when I went for the first year. And there was these group of YouTubers who are now some of my good friends, who actually really inspired me to really speak my opinion about these events. And their channel on YouTube is TLEV Media. And what they are, they're two brothers and and their best friend. And what they basically did was the same thing. Picked up the camera and talked about Halloween Horror Nights and gave their opinions about it. So I liked that structure, and I was like, I really want to do that. And so August of 2017 is when I launched my channel, and I had this camera that Nana gave me for Christmas. It wasn't one where you had. Now that I have this, it wasn't one where I can flip the screen and see myself. So the screen was just locked on like that back there. So I don't know if the camera quality was looking good when I was recording myself or not. I just wanted to get the content out there and get my opinions out there. So I did that. And then the first year we went to Horror Nights, I filmed all that footage. Wasn't the best footage, but no one is when they start. And then after haunt season ended, the main intent of the channel was to talk about Horror Nights. But after haunt season ended, I was like, okay, well, you can only talk about Horror Nights for so long before it starts getting repetitive and old. So I got to start branching out and doing other things. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to be an all horror channel. So I'll talk about
horror. Before you branched out, you were just doing straight Horror Nights.
Horror Nights was
what was it like? I mean, did you have a bunch of views? How are you promoting that initial first 6 months or first 3 months? Did you promote? Did you go on other people's things where you could say, hey, by the way, I have a podcast, and
right.
How did that all work out?
So for me, it was more like, when you start, you're hoping that you get noticed to something. Now, when you first start, you're a little channel, so no one knows who you are. No one's going to probably give you the time of day to collab. It wasn't until I started branching out to other small channels that were around the same as me where I was like, hey, let's, I don't think it was until 2018 where I actually first started collabing with people. And that was through the podcast. And when I finally collabed with people, I for one, on my channel, you'll notice I love collaboration. I think it's one of the best things ever because you get to work with other people who have very talented minds, and you guys can create something together that your fan base and their fan base love. Usually, a lot of the fan bases, a lot of the people that I work with usually have the same fan base. So it's fun for everyone. Fun for you, fun for them, fun for the fans. So in the beginning, there was no partnership, no collaboration, no anything. I was on my own. But I would tweet or I would talk to other people like, hey, I have this channel too. I'm up and coming, but it's basically doing the same thing. If you give it a check out, one day I would love to collab with you. And it wasn't until I started the podcast that I started doing more collaborations.
Now, did that make it explode? Because you're reaching those people too, or not really?
So before I started the podcast, I hit 100 subscribers, which it took me from August all the way to I think January was when I hit 100 subscribers. So that was those months.
And how much content were you putting up in that period of time? Once a week, twice a week?
I was trying to put up at least a video a week. And now I think right now we're shooting for like 2 or 3 videos a week. Wow. But yeah, we were trying to release a video a week. And I think what really shook me was when we went opening night, the day we went to HHN that 2017, I created a video called, I think, Top 10 HHN Facades. So, I just did a compilation of some of my favorites. I was so blown away of how many views that got at such a small channel I was because of the community of HHN. I think that first day it like blew up to 1,000 views.
Nice.
And I was losing my stuff about that because I was like, this is unreal. I'm only at this many subscribers and I'm getting these many views. Like, I must be doing something right.
Were you doing the audio portion at that time, or you started right with YouTube, right? I mean,
I started right with YouTube. So YouTube came first, and I was making the videos, talking about HHN, talking about, when announcement came out for Amaze, I'd cover the announcements, give my thoughts on it, read the tweets from the creative director, and inform everyone as much as I can into a video. And then HHN came, I filmed all the Maze walkthroughs, I went down to the event and did all that. And then after the season was over, that was me trying to figure out what to do next. So January came around, and I threw the idea to my cousin at the time, who was the one working with me. I'm like, hey, I want to do a podcast. Now I watched, one of my favorite and one of my biggest influencers for starting a podcast was actually Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is like one of the kings of podcasting. He does like so many of them. And I was watching his podcast in specific, Hollywood Babylon, which is him and Ralph Garman. They just talk about what's going on in Hollywood, and they just bullshit with each other, which I love. So I started watching that, and then I was in love with it. Every week I'd watch a new episode. It was audio only, and then now it's video, but it was cool to watch an episode each week and just hear them, 2 friends sitting together and talking about stuff they love. And I was like, this could work. How about we do, me and you, we'll sit down, we'll talk about what's coming in the new, as new horror movies, horror news, if any actors in the horror world have passed, we'll give them some tributes or something like that. And at the time we were watching videos on YouTube by a channel called Crypt TV. They're an indie YouTube company owned by Eli Roth, who does nothing but like horror shorts, which are really cool.
Now, do you go in there into their YouTube video and go in their comments and splash your links on there? Do you do all that kind of guerrilla warfare stuff, or not really?
I've never done that out of respect to the content creator. I think there's other ways around that to kind of promote yourself. I mean, obviously you can, a lot of people, you'd be surprised in Twitter mostly, is they'll throw up a post of like, hey, I'm bored, I'm looking for new content creators or podcasts to listen to, like shoot some links through my, through the comments, and you'll see a variety of people who have links. I'm hoping by putting my link into that someone will look at it while they're scrolling and be like, oh, this sounds cool, let me check this out, or they'll discover my channel that way. So what was cool about Crypt TV, though, is when we started doing the podcast, we used to do a segment this week on Crypt TV where we would choose our favorite video, we'd talk about it, we'd watch it. And early on in the podcast, before we even hit 10 episodes, like they started noticing us. Like I would go on Twitter and be like, hey, Crypt TV, by the way, we do a segment on our thing. And they're like, yeah, we saw an episode. They actually left a comment in one of the episodes like, this is cool, keep doing what you guys are doing. So that was really cool to hear that from a channel as big as they are, noticing us as small as we are, to appreciate the work that they do. Because as a horror fan, you look at that and you're like, this is cool. Like, this is something I want to do, So the beginning, early structure of the podcast was I would go on the Twitter page of a website called Bloody Disgusting, who just does a bunch of horror news.
Disgusting things.
Bloody Disgusting. Yeah, they are just a horror news site. So what I would do is I would pick up like, okay, this interests me, and we'll talk about this. Early episodes were going anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours because we would just talk about all this news and we would get off track and all that. And it was just a fun way to just chat with my cousin. So we did that. It wasn't until I think it was pretty early on. I think it was like anywhere from 6 to 10.
Where are you at now? We're at
100. We're gonna be on 112.
112.
Yeah.
Very nice.
In a couple years. Yeah, that's great. Holy moly.
Actually, I think we just hit 112.
Wow.
So it wasn't until like anywhere from 6 to 10, we got our first guest. and it was a indie film director who took notice to our podcast and said, "Hey, I just released my debut horror film. If you guys want to check it out and we can do an interview, I'm all for it." Me, I was just like, this director notices us. I get to interview a director. Hell yeah, I'm gonna watch this movie and we're gonna check it out. So we watched the movie, and obviously, going with any B horror movie, it's not the greatest, but I found ways to like it because not only was this my first guest, and this was like a big deal to me, but there was some stuff as a filmmaker. I always know the first films sometimes are hit or miss, but as you go on, you get better at your craft. So I took that into consideration, wanting to be a filmmaker. I took that like, okay, it's just his first film. I mean, it wasn't the best, but it had its moments, and I applaud him for going out there and accomplishing his dream. So we got him on the show. We talked to him, and it was just one of the best interviews ever. I mean, he was so down to earth. We're still friends with him today. I mean, he even he shipped us a care package of like a signed poster from the entire cast, some T-shirts, 2 of the Blu-ray movies signed. It was he's a really cool guy. His name's Jed Bryan.
Now do you do giveaways to promote?
So we did do a giveaway.
Or you liked all that shit for yourself?
No. We
It's
actually
a ball poster.
I actually had bought a specific. Now, so early on in my channel, every 100 subscribers, I would do a giveaway.
Yeah.
The first 100 I did, I gave away 3 packages. The first one was a gift card to, I don't remember where. The second one, if you won second place, you won the Titans of Terror collection. So that was Halloween 1, Nightmare on Elm Street, Chainsaw Massacre, and Friday the 13th. I think we gave them part 2 because that's the first one you actually see Jason killing people in.
Okay.
And then first place winner, I gave them both. So there was definitely that. It came down to actually when I chose a winner, though, that like the girl was like, early on, she was like, I really appreciate it, but I don't, I live out in the UK and it's going to be a hassle. So
I don't think you can even watch a DVD in the UK, right? It's different.
Yeah, the Blu-ray and stuff. So I was like, hey, well, I mean, that's a good start to my horror collection. So, I'll just keep them for myself. So every 100 subscribers, we'd always do a giveaway, whether it be a Nights of Horror t-shirt. I think my mom at one point when actually it was when you were helping us get subscribers.
Yeah.
And I owe a big thank you to my career for that because without you, I don't think I'd be where I'm at right now. So.
Yeah, I give kids the extra credit to.
So if you want to do that every year, I would be open to that.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt.
It's up to you. No, I don't. I mean, I was just thankful when you did it the first time. I would just one day I just remember getting a bunch of notifications on my phone, like, what the hell is happening?
Bing,
like
bing,
I'm just getting subscribers left and right. But
no, but do you so do you have a problem? Because when you have multiple channels, does that take away from the other channel? Do you lose? Should you focus on one? Like, should we focus on just one thing and pound it, or like just? Because Chuck and I can talk about football. We could talk about education.
Right.
We could talk about kids. We could talk about
I would say
philosophy.
I know both of you guys probably have busy schedules as it is. For me, the way I'm looking at it right now is I'm starting to get kind of tired at this moment, like just right now, because not only am I running Nights of Horror, which is usually my main focus of things, I'm part of a gaming clan who's really rapidly coming up. So I'm doing a YouTube channel under their name. So I have to try to deliver gameplays all the time.
And you're not getting your drug. You're not getting your fix because the haunts aren't going on.
No, not well.
You would have that energy that you're not getting this year.
Yeah, and usually around this time, like I'm doing, okay, so Knots announced all their stuff, so let's talk about what we're hyped for.
Right.
Horror Nights announced all their stuff. Let's break down every maze that's coming, what our thoughts on it, and let's make hype lists on that. There's none of that this year. This year, it's more about, okay, a lot of independent and home haunts are still happening. Let's promote them. Let's give as much information as we can about them so they can still make a business. Because you gotta remember too, a lot of the people who do the home haunts rely on this as actually an extra income if they do charge. A lot of them don't charge, but a lot of them just want people to come and see what they have so they can maintain their reputation and coming up. We just talked to Corona Haunt last night, and the podcast just went out today. Or we talked to them Tuesday night, and the podcast went out yesterday. And Midsummer Scream is a huge Halloween. It's like the Comic-Con of Halloween conventions. And they have this thing called the Hall of Shadows where the actual company will invite a bunch of home haunters out, and they can bring a little preview of their haunt to show it off. this year was going to be their first year of doing that. However, because of the pandemic, Midsummer Scream got canceled. So they're hoping for next year that since they didn't get to preview their Haunt at the Hall of Shadows at Midsummer Scream, that they can do it again next year. And hoping, so they want to try to keep their reputation up. And I think the guy who runs it, he's a pretty good friend of ours too. He is such a nice guy. We actually, when we had him on earlier in the year, his name's Rick West. And we gave away a Midsummer Scream ticket to One Lucky Fan, and then out of nowhere, he surprised us and upped the ante. He gave away a fucking VIP ticket, and I was like, "Oh, great! You just upped me on my own show, man. That's cool."
Thanks, guy.
Yeah, no, but he was really cool. He was gonna, hook us up with some media badges so we can go to the event for free and do all the interviews with all the executives and stuff. And I was really looking forward to this year, man. It was gonna be a huge year for us. Like, I was waiting for that 1,000 to kick in just so maybe I can get more opportunities like this, because I love talking with the executives about how do you guys put on a haunt like this? Like, it must be stressful, you got to try to please the fans, but at the same time, you're only so much limited to a budget that you're trying to put in some of the best stuff, but it comes down to it. So like, I'm a guy that's interested in a lot of behind the scenes of how stuff is made.
Yeah, that's the best stuff. Be able to see it from inside.
Right.
I wish I would have filmed half the backstage concerts we went to, stuff like that.
That's so cool.
Just enough footage, just enough to be able to put together. That's
Right.
kind of stories that are so much better with good footage.
Right.
I'm so torn, like Colleen and I this was like 2 years ago. We were super excited. We were going to a Kings of Leon concert, and we're just on the wrong side of that demographic, So me and Colleen are the old guys in the show. And we show up, and I love their music. Kings of Leon, it's going to be on. I mean, they can play. We already know that their live show they're tight. They don't do a lot of shit, but they're tight. And we're at the show, and we're the second level up, and everybody's got their iPad or their camera going. And I was looking at Colin. I mean, it was like lighting in my face.
Right.
And I was going, do these guys know they're here, that there's an experience here? I mean, you can go on YouTube and watch this or MTV,
I am the type of guy, and I'm in that demographic where I should be doing that too. But I've watched a ton of interviews from like old punk bands and stuff. They're like, we hate it when they do that. They do that. Shit. We want to just ram their phones down their throats and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm the type of guy that will take a picture before the concert, and then when I'm in the venue, if the stage looks cool or something, or take a quick shot of when they're on stage, just so I have that memory of me being there.
Yeah.
I am not one to have to film the entire concert, because what's the point? You're paying for an experience, and you're just going to film it just so you can watch it later. It's like, it looks like you didn't really even enjoy the show at that point.
I'm telling you,
I'm on the same boat. Yeah.
We went and saw Pussifer and with Maynard from Tool, and they said absolutely not, and everybody kind of went, yeah, whatever. And the first couple phones that came out, guys were on them came down and freaking yanked them. And
that was same thing with me. 2017 Misfits show. I had to put my phone inside of a slot. And they didn't want no phones there, because the Misfits are old school like that, man. They've been around since the 70s, so it's
they don't fuck around.
They want to have a show where people is not recording. Glenn Danzig still has a flip phone, He doesn't like all that type of stuff, that's what's up. I'm like, yeah, I'm
about ready to go back to that. What are you talking about?
You've made it in this world right now.
No, but it's just like,
you don't care.
I'm glad that they had that rule. I mean, it kind of sucks because every now and then I like to check the time, especially in between bands. Like, okay, when the fuck are these guys going on? Like, so I couldn't do that, but it was cool to actually talk to people. You don't get to do that a lot anymore. Yeah. And I was like in the fucking very front row, so I was just like right there, just waiting.
You were ruining everybody's view anyway, so
I know, right? So it's like people are trying to jump in front of me. I'm like, nah, dude, I'm trying to get a pick. I'm trying to get a drumstick. I'm trying to get a set list. So.
We were telling a story the other day. Went to when Jimmy Page played with the Black Crowes and they toured.
Right.
And Jimmy is fucking. We're in the pit, Matt and I, leaning on the stage, and about three songs into it, it's just like we're going, fuck, nobody could sing it like that. Nobody could do it like that. This is fucking badass. But Rich Robinson is fucking miserable. He's like, I am fucking, fighting over Chris on who is the baddest ass Black Crow. And now I got to fucking play with Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
So we're in between songs. Matt and I are hollering at him. Come on, man, smile. Come on, Rich, man. You'll get through it, man. Come on, you can do it. All the way. Finally, come on, man, it's Jimmy fucking Page, dude.
I know, dude.
Finally, he
That's
turns and
legendary.
looks and just kind of grins because he was bitter and he was not having any of it. He wasn't going to look at us.
Yeah.
They don't even have a spotlight on him.
Oh God, man, poor guy. You know.
No, one of the
over
funniest
that?
things ever is when I went to Ozfest 2018 New Year's Eve. It was bringing in the new year with Ozzy Osbourne. It was cool. Rob Zombie actually performed. The first time I ever saw Rob Zombie, and I've always wanted to see him in concert. His music, one of my favorites. And he actually saw someone using their phone, stop the fucking song, and he was like, "Put that shit away." He goes, "I am not going to continue if you're going to be filming this. This is a fucking music concert.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be enjoying it, not filming it. If you're going to continue doing that, I'm just going to walk off." And everyone just like booed that guy, and he put away his phone.
My favorite thing is the people who record the fireworks show.
All right.
You're going like just a black screen. There's a couple little sparkles on your phone. It's impossible, you know.
Yeah.
I know. Fuck, that's me, dude. I got them all. I'm
not even calling you on it. I'm just like, that's fucking classic.
I just love watching like a lot of the like the 70s rock stars, and like I've been watching a lot of Ozzy and Jack's World Detour.
Yeah.
So watching Ozzy trying to use a camera, like he's filming,
it's
like,
so funny.
taking pictures of his feet and stuff, and he doesn't know what he's doing. Like his manager's telling him, "Oh, you're gonna be in here, take pictures so we can put on the website." And Jack's doing everything; he can't take anything, and it's like it's fucking Ozzy though, dude. You gotta just let him do his thing, man.
I had to watch it 3 or 4 times before I went, fuck, he's really having a great time.
Yeah, dude. No, Ozzy.
Colleen adores that show.
Yeah, Ozzy for him, I think if it was up to him, he would just keep doing it for the rest of his life. He loves.
Yeah, they show him going on trying to do shoots and stuff. He's like, fuck that shit.
Yeah, he doesn't like doing ads. Like I think.
Oh fuck, he shouldn't be able to have to do anything ever.
Jack and Ozzy's World Detour. He calls him. He goes, "Hey, you want to go?" He's like, "Yeah, just get me the hell out of here. I don't want to do any more of these advertisements. I hate doing these."
Oh, that's funny, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing horror stuff, isn't Jack?
Yeah, Jack. The Osbournes Want to Believe. Such a good show.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was
It's
like,
hilarious,
cool.
dude. Trying to make Ozzy believe in stuff is hilarious. And Sharon's over here like, "Oh, well, maybe it is true." You know, they show aliens, ghost videos. I was like, "This is all bullshit. This is all rigged."
You would think he would be the one that believed everything. He doesn't seem like, you know.
You were doing all these drugs, making all these songs. You made a song called "Fairies Wear Boots." Like, come on, dude. Like, and you don't believe in aliens? Come on.
Are you gonna do? Do you have any plans to do anything on the music side? I know you go to a lot of shows. I mean, are you trying to limit it to the horror or?
Because the way I look at it, the genre of music I listen to, metal, punk, and all that, really, especially a band like the Misfits, man. I mean,
yeah, the
metal and horror go good together.
Yeah.
Like, you know, rock and horror and punk and all that. I mean, like I keep my favorite band of all time, obviously, is the Misfits, and they're literally their whole thing is horror. Like they have a song called Halloween. They have like a whole album when Michael Graves came on that was just about monsters. So, and I mean, of course, the freaking lead guitarist of the thing is his name is Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein. Like, if that doesn't scream horror, I don't know. I mean, their set when I saw them, it was pumpkins and neon lights and their logo. I mean, it screams horror. So no, I would love to, if I ever had the opportunity, the one person I want to sit down more than anything is actually Ozzy Osbourne. Like I would love to just sit with him and just, even if it was for 30 minutes, like I'll take whatever time I can get with him. Like I would just, I would try to limit as many, try to ask the most questions that I can within the time I had him with. Like, Rob Zombie's another person, because not only is his music iconic with the horror genre, but his films. I've seen all of his films. I love them all. And I just would love to talk to him about filmmaking. I know I just watched he did one with Rogan a couple years back, and I just watched that. So no, I mean, there's a lot of people in the music business. Glenn Danzig, I would love to talk to him about the early punk days coming up as the Misfits and having the attitude they did and stuff. So no, I would love to explore the whole music side, because I feel like the music I listen to, metal and all that, it relates to horror. So
I had this little girl in my class. The class is really dominated by, there's some kids that have some money in Villa Park, and there's kids from the other side of the tracks. We have a lot of those kids actually. And I had this one real docile girl, right? Real docile girl. It was almost like a girl that you don't know if she knew English real well, like she had an accent. She wouldn't say anything. And for some reason I got up the aisle and she had the Misfits, the Misfit logo, the skulls, you know, and I was like, yeah, Teenagers from Mars. Yeah, that one. It was on her fucking folder, you know, and I was like, hey man, her name, I go, you know, Teenagers from Mars, huh? Yeah, that was my high school. When I sat in your chairs, and she was like, and then fucking from then on, she was like, hi, Mr. Gordon, how you doing? Fucking like the Misfits. I should have sent him a fucking email just because, and just really get into that story because it just like her just because nobody is cool enough right now, especially a rich kid isn't cool enough to know that kind of shit. Yeah. You know they're gonna know the Drake and they're gonna know these sort of strange rap things.
That's music I just can't stand.
No, I know, and for me to just you know, because it was 1986, and that's when I was in high school.
Right.
I'm like, I was sitting in your chair, and I fucking heard that song.
I think the thing about metal and with metal, I've always said that no disrespect to you, Nino, because this is your this is you, but I've always said I've probably learned more history through Iron Maiden than in class.
Oh yeah.
Like all their songs, you know, World War II, Winston Churchill, you know. But like that goes for a lot of metal bands. History is a big subject where you can sing about, and One by Metallica, you know, I mean, it's based off around a movie, but you know, it's history about a guy who gets all of his limbs blown off and just doesn't have no freaking way to live no more. So
when I was a young man, when I was your age, I thought that I would like to make a movie where I would play, you know, 30 songs. And there would be no speaking. It would just, is this guy going to start on one side of the country? He's got somebody died or it was a class reunion, and he's going to drive across the country. And these songs are going to play, and it would be a generational thing. It would be my generation of people. And the theory was, and I, you know, it would be ridiculous, but the theory for me was when The Streets Have No Names come on, I play that song, and it's all about the sonic. When the street, you know, oh man, I have one memory. Oh, I have two memories. I'm singing that song. I don't have to be quiet to hear what the guy's going to say. And the guy's just having an experience, and maybe there's a flashback and we go back to the car. And then boom, you know, freaking White Zombie comes on. And then I have a memory of White Zombie. And then Pearl Jam comes on. I have a memory. So it's my movie.
Right.
But it's your movie and it's Chuck's movie. And everybody has a completely different experience because of their own sort of data link to that song, that connection. Yeah. So the song that you say about Ozzy is going to be different than my feeling of that song. You know, I was staff pro at freaking Monsters of Rock, and I saw Ozzy too. Right. You know, but it was a different experience. You know, it was probably the first time I got high because there was so much fucking smoke in the Long Beach Arena that I was fucking contact high. You know, like for real, that's like a different memory. And really make the movie vague, but then activate every single person would have a different memory, right? Because of it's their own thing, you know, it's your own experience. It could be a drama, it could be a comedy, it could be a fucking, you know, rom-com, it could be a frat guy deal, or you know, it could be whatever it was for you, you know.
No, I do that a lot with music now. You know this, obviously. I love my music, and I mean, music, I don't think I can live a day without listening to some form of music.
Yeah, good for you.
I have to listen to at least one song a day.
It's good medicine.
Yeah, it is. And lately, the two songs that I've just had funny, but one's a funny kind of idea for like a short film, and one's like a serious idea for a short film. Just a Friend, obviously, everybody knows that song. I have this vision in my head, like, telling that story into film. Like, I think
you mean Bismarcky? You got what I need.
Yeah. I think it'd be a hilarious short film of him meeting this girl.
The world and shit.
Yeah, just meeting this girl, and then he finds out she's dating this other guy, and he was literally just a friend. And you
don't give me that.
Yeah, don't give me that. You know. But the serious one I have, and I think about a lot. It's one of my favorite songs that they actually. I heard that I think they covered it was Pearl Jam's Last Kiss. I love their version of that song.
My least favorite song.
Really?
Oh, man.
No, and you know what's funny is I always
That's their highest grossing song ever. That's their highest charting song ever, believe it or not.
Who wrote that, though? Somebody else.
Yeah, it's somebody. That's a cover.
So, can I get into why do you not like
please.
Why do you not like that song?
It's just, you know, because it's more of a, you know, happy day song, like a 50s song. In my mind, it's a sock hop song. It's not, you know, it's like doo-wop. I don't know. It's not what I think. You know, I don't. Go ahead, tell me what you're gonna do.
I've always thought of it's for me. It's the way they sing it is always it's a sad song. I mean,
yeah,
I really think the story. Like I always have this vision in my head where the story would go. It's the guy and his girl, and they get into this car accident caused by a drunk driver. He survives, she dies, and it could even be used as a PSA, honestly, for drunk driving. But basically, what happens is she dies, and he's devastated by that. He's going through so much depression. But like the song, he says, "I got to keep doing good. I got to keep going, so one day I can be with her."
Nice.
I've thought about this story time and time again in my head every time I listen to the song, how I would do it and how I can get it to get the message and to make people feel how I want them to feel. Basically, I want them to, in certain moments, cry here, but in certain moments, feel the same thing he's going through.
All right, guys, that was part one with Tony. I hope you enjoyed that. Lots of nuts and bolts, lots of opinions about how to get a podcast going, how to start a podcast, and mostly just follow your passion. So great shout out to Tony. Thank you so much. I love you very much. You're my cousin. You're my godson. Keep doing what you're doing, man. And we'll see part two.